Okay, let's get started. Welcome everybody to today's weekly town hall meeting, May 30th, 2022. Today's agenda, projects and development updates, marketing updates, collaboration updates, and Q&A. Robinson, can you please start us off with projects and development updates?
Thank you. So the first item on our list is our process improvements list. I have checked out and cleaned up this slide by the previous weeks. So now we have two items and our internal checklist item, the elk, which takes the lead right now. It is there for close to half a year now. We've started having this from almost beginning of 2022. And it is still the most important item with no progress made yet. The second item is the Bitcoin deposit one. It is so we faced some downtimes and other challenges which has delayed this, but the content team has resumed the work on this as of today. And hopefully by week when we have this town hall, we'll have this particular documentation item complete. So this starts with our product updates. The first and foremost is the Dex UI, which is kind of in a maintenance mode. The production version still remains the same at 0.78, and the QA of 0.78 was completed, and we have no new versions at this time. There's one issue in 0.78 which is not QA complete, and that will be taken care in the next release. And in the major features completed, I've updated a few more items. Essentially, we have the new screens for Hive and SPD withdrawal is fully completed and available. And one major update that has happened is the GPOS vesting and voting screens. Those went through some polishing and that looks much better now. Earlier we had some bugs with respect to vesting. The values shown were incorrect. There was some incorrect error messages. So we have addressed that as well. This is our ongoing improvements as well as the charts. I've combined this into the same slide because there isn't much happening with this project. This is the earned value analysis, self-explanatory. Bug fixes, only one. New bugs also one, and there's quite a few, 6 items in review. This shows that the application is pretty stable, and we are also adding some new features here. I'll talk about that in one of the upcoming slides. Next, so we have version called 0.06. QA of this version is ongoing, and we had a pretty productive sprint with a lot of items, features addressed the last couple of weeks. So the QA version is available, and probably in the next coming weeks, we'll share a link to the CA version, the CA/CD version, or the QA version, so that general public can also see the progress. So here is our burn down and burn up charts, earned value analysis charts, which is looking pretty good. So here we have a new item, which is a secure Web3. Okay, it is a secure Web3 wallet instead of vault. So one of the drawbacks of our applications like Nex and Dex UI was that we were not having a secure Web3 wallet. But at the same time, there is a popular wallet called Whale Vault, which is derived out of the original Steam or Steemit keychain. Now it is called as the Hive keychain. So Peerplays support is available with Whale Vault. As we can see in the screenshot here, what is happening is we have a Peerplays account by the name test keys, and its keys are automatically extracted by the Whale Vault. So Whale Vault is able to handle it's already able to handle the keys. And what we're trying to do right now is we're trying to integrate this with the Dex UI, so that Dex UI will get a secure Web3 wallet. So we're making progress in that. And once we have the Dex UI with the secure wallet working, we will also integrate the same to the Nex. And once we have these two products with a Whale Vault, we will be exploring other ideas like having support for Hive keychain itself, because Hive keychain probably has a lot more installation footprint than the Whale Vault. So anyway, this is one of our key features which will be completed in the month of June. Dexport. So on the next board, we do have again surprises. The current installer that we have on Windows, it is failing compared to the source code version. That is, if you try to run the Dexport directly from the source code, that works. But if you try to take the existing code from develop, that was failing until right now. That was like until few hours ago. So right now we're trying to fix these issues. And the Linux and Mac installers, they are also they're not retested, but when I had tested it last week, it was failing. And on the installation instructions as well, we need end-to-end installation instructions. We have so right now the instruction is handling only up to creation of the installer, but for the end users who doesn't require installers, that particular documentation is missing. So we need that to be identified. Being said that, if it is still possible to run this from the source code and is able to place orders even on the mainnet as well as on the testnet. Blockchain updates. On the blockchain, the slides remains pretty much the same except for the ticket listing. So the major progress is that we are closing to the next release, which we anticipate in the first week of June. We have stumbled upon certain issues with respect, which are probably due to a scheduler bug, and we've also introduced new features to avoid older zombie nodes to connect to our existing blockchain network. So those features are taking longer than I expected. And while testing for this feature which avoids zombie nodes, we have also stumbled across a bug which is mostly related to the scheduler. So we're trying to separate these two bugs, these two scenarios. That is the removal of the zombie nodes, and the failure which is probably due to the scheduler bugs. So we're trying to isolate these two scenarios and provide a fix which will completely address the zombie node scenario. So it is taking us a lot of time because we need to test with multiple nodes, and these nodes are, as of today, what's happening is some of these nodes are crashing in the QA environment. So we may have to investigate that as well. So release is obviously taking longer than expected, but rest assured that this will be addressing a lot of outstanding issues, and we are also trying to make sure that there are no hiccups in the mainnet. So the QAs are is working hard on the current release. Here is our burn down and burn up charts. Here is our historical progress. You can see that there are new features in progress. Those are primarily related to the Ethereum Suns and the Hive Suns voting. And we are also upgrading our Bitcoin library. And with respect to that, in connection to that, we are also upgrading some of the elliptic curve cryptographic libraries. And yeah, I think I forgot to mention this in the previous slide. We have been trying to upgrade these elliptic curve libraries. We have also come across blind transaction feature, which is not used much, which is hardly used a handful of times in the history of Peerplays. And there are some very tricky dependencies with elliptic curve libraries and these blind transactions. So that is also that's a major item which is under, I would say, development and investigation. Mostly, we will remove this blind transaction feature once we address the issues with the cryptographic libraries. So that's on the blockchain side of things. On the Peerplay side, the performance testing aspect is ongoing, as well as there's also the Peerplay's library related work is also related to the DEX board. So the same resources are being used on both. Express NFT. So on the Express NFT, we have come to a conclusion that the current Express NFT product, it has limitations, and we may have to complete the development of this product as it is. So we have an internal demo which is not open to the public because of fee requirements and everything. So this internal demo has been completed, and we're trying to create a video demo which will be shared with the general public. And with the current activities and the demo, will be documenting and completing the Express NFT. And the future development will be happening on in a separate product altogether. So we have the burn up and burn out charts. Through hands. So this is the upcoming NFT marketplace product. So at this point, this will mostly look like a explorer, which is trying to read from the which will try to read the existing data from the blockchain. So we have a handful of NFTs being created. So this will mostly work like an explorer and display that in the first place. Going forward, if required, we'll be adding more NFT related features to our trade hands. So that's on trade hands. So that those are the updates from the development team. So the major updates being improvements made to the blockchain, and we are anticipating a release in the next couple of weeks. And also wanted to highlight the whale vault. So if there are any feedbacks that we can receive for the whale vault integration, that is also highly anticipated. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much, Robinson. Michael, marketing updates, please.
Hello, everybody, and happy Monday. Marketing updates for this week. The SWAT project for the 22 projects, the information has been gathered from the stage one and is being used to steer our marketing content and strategy going forward for how that stuff's going to work. We've designed and launched the careers landing page on Peerplays. It's been being used and being utilized by some candidates. We've gotten a few applications through it. We've made a couple minor refinements for better utilization of it to make sure that it's going to be the best that it can be and give us the biggest bang for our buck on attracting the top talent that we require. The rewrite of the new witness documentation for clarity and ease of use is ongoing and will hopefully be complete soon to allow for the new witnesses coming on board who have shown interest to be able to follow the information properly and clear and be able to get set up and enhance our witness program. The employer branding refocused to coincide with the career section. The sentiment survey has been sent out. Responses are coming in. If you have received it, please respond to that by the end of day tomorrow. I very much appreciate it. If I didn't get it to you, please reach out to me on Rocket Chat and I will get you a copy of the form to be able to send out. I'll be tabulating the information this week, and then Alk and I will be going over it to be able to start to create some content with respect to articles and videos. And I may be reaching out to you for expanding on some of what you said and being able to help with creating that content. And then I have continued the meet the team behind Peerplays planning and layout and how that's going to work, what kind of information we want to have included in it. As I've mentioned in the past, it's going to be two-pronged. It's going to be the humanizing aspect to show the people behind the project, but it also can be used as a recruiting tool also for the people who might want to work for us to see who the people behind the project are as well. So all of that is ongoing and planning, and I will start to have information on that being rolled out shortly as well. So that's all the marketing updates for this week. I can turn it over to Salah for the performance side of things.
Thank you, Michael. In terms of performance, we're still seeing growth in terms of traffic to the website from new users and also the general traffic. The bounce rate keep getting better, and in terms of the most of the traffic coming from the campaigns that we are running, the one for witness and the other one for the career page. And then this week we will be doing optimization for both campaigns in order to get more conversion for the witnesses and also for the for the career page to get good applicants. This is mainly the pages that brought most of the traffic, so the career pages and also the home page plus the witnesses landing page as well. For the social media performance for the last week, we're still seeing good growth in YouTube after we started working on reaction videos that made by Jonathan for some like big influencers in crypto space. And also in terms of the Twitter, we're still posting the threads and getting more engagement in the tweets, which will continue, and then we will continue optimizing all the threads and also the YouTube videos as well. So this is mainly the summary report for the performance for the last week. Thank you.
Thank you, Michael and Salah. Jonathan, collaboration update, please.
Thank you very much. These are the updates for the past week. With Gaming Benefits Corp, we had our weekly call and they gave me a purview about how they're doing with some of the conferences they attended recently. Everything is moving along well on that front and expect to see some positive developments in that soon. In gaming, esports tournaments to be named. So did a little more analysis with this potential collaborator with esports tournaments that would be based out of North Carolina, actually. And it's looking good on that front. It could lead to some bigger things, but we'll see how that goes. And in community, Avalon Scenes, we've continued to work with them in getting this self-hosted deployment out. That's going to lead to bigger integration with Peerplays going forward so that Peerplays will be able to take advantage of that as a very unique platform for not just the community, but crypto communities at large. If anyone's ever taken a look at what Scenes has to offer, it's quite interesting. You might want to take a look at it. It's best way to describe it, I guess you could say Clubhouse meets Discord is one way to put it. but it's got lots of other interesting features that just make for a very smooth community experience. And it's quite exciting that we've been able to help with them on this, with the gamified elements and things like that, that now make it quite an exciting platform, which we will be utilizing very soon. So those are the primary collaboration updates for this past week.
Thank you very much. Questions, comments, thoughts to everybody here? I've had 2 questions come in from the community. These will be for Jonathan. The first question is, when will we see some traction on the PBSA initiatives? When will Next be ready? Are there things being worked on in parallel, and will those be launched in tandem or in order as time progresses after the fact?
So the reason why there's so much effort being put into Next, as we've discussed in previous updates over the past few months, is that we're really focusing on bringing everything into a single interface. And by putting the best technology, the best quality, the best of what Peerplays has to offer all into a single interface, that allows us to be able to give a very good experience to everybody who utilizes Peerplays going into the future. It also allows us to not be dispersed in our efforts. You might have noticed that in the update that Bobinson gave, that he talked about trade hands. So that was because our ability to be able to expand on Express NFT to integrate eventually into the Next interface wasn't quite compatible. It was very limited for the multiple use cases of what we have available to us with the NFTs and Peerplays. So we are taking all of that and bringing it into Next. And there was, I think, mention about DexBot. DexBot is a market maker. So as far as the markets are concerned, these need to get started initially only to provide some liquidity into the PPY token. But it's not the only thing that's going on. With the collaborations we have ongoing, with trade hands that we're introducing, everything is going to be integrated into this new interface. And with that, we're going to carry that forward with some of the back-end things that we've talked about in the past relating to Substrate. So in previous updates, Bobinson talked about how we've done some extensive analysis about not just the technical debt that we're dealing with the Peerplays core chain, but also what is out there already so that we're not, quote unquote, reinventing the wheel. So we eventually, after a lot of analysis, arrived at seeing Substrate as being the best for what Peerplays has to offer going forward. So those are things that are happening in parallel. That doesn't mean that we've stopped everything and are just focusing on that. We are still continuing to do things in parallel. For example, we have Ethereum Suns that's being worked into the core, which means that this Next interface is going to see thousands of assets that are going to be able to trade against PPY. So there is also, in my previous update, we talked about how Bookie and some of the other dApps that have been developed over the years for demo purposes, we are updating those so that we can have those released. Now, whether or not the community decides to run with actually implementing some live versions of those using Bitcoin or Hive, we don't know, but it's certainly a possibility. So that remains to be seen if anybody has the interest to do that or not. In previous update, I also talked about how we have a strategy for some extensive airdrops that are going to be launched on the Peerplays blockchain. We've got the tool that through 3Speak we had done for airdropping tool for Peerplays. That is going to be incorporated into the Next as well as part of this airdrop event, which is going to be over a long period of time as we move towards the Substrate software stack for the new Peerplays going into the future. So I know all that sounds kind of like this is all very extensive in terms of like a lot of moving parts, and that's part of what we deal with on an ongoing basis. But strategically speaking, it all comes together, it all works very well, and it all puts us in a much stronger position going forward so that we can gain more momentum and more acceleration in the things that we're developing so that we don't have to continue to deal with our technical debt. And also it gives us better positioning with other ecosystems in the space, which is where we want to be with collaborating and being cooperative within the crypto space so that we can be able to enhance everybody's experience and be able to bring more people into blockchain and cryptography and whatnot so that they can have more sovereignty in their lives.
Thank you. And the second question is, what is the state of the board? It was mentioned a while back there would be a new one in place, but there has been no news since.
Yeah, so the members that we have pending are still pending. Part of the reason for the delay had to do with getting all these moving parts that I just talked about in the previous answer sort of clarified before we moved forward with new board members coming on board. We didn't want to have them coming into a situation where there was going to be suddenly a lot of changes that were going to potentially cause a lot of confusion. So we just wanted to make sure that everything was clear so that when they come on board, it'll be very clear in the long term the direction that we're going and what's happening. So I do anticipate that in the coming month we will see a new board, although it doesn't really impact the way that things have been progressing per se when they do come on board.
Thank you. That is all the questions that came in from the community. I'd like to thank everybody for joining us today, and we will see you next Monday. Thank you very much.